Lisa's peers mocked her for sharing her sandwich with the janitor, but when they found out who he was and what he had done for her, no one could say a word. Lisa Johnson was 11 years old. She lived in a small house on a quiet street in Richmond, Virginia. She shared this home with her mother, Maria, and her 2 younger brothers. Maria worked long hours as a nurse. She left the house early in the morning and often returned late at night, always looking tired. Lisa understood that her mother worked hard to keep a roof over their heads and to pay for basic needs. They did not have much money, and everyone in the family knew that times were hard. That morning, the air inside their home felt cold. Winter had arrived, but they could not afford a better heater or thicker blankets. Lisa rubbed her arms to warm herself. She wore an old jacket that was thin and did not keep her very warm. Her clothes were clean, but they showed signs of wear and careful mending. She did not complain. She knew her mother did everything possible. In the kitchen, Lisa prepared her lunch for school. All she had was 2 slices of bread and a little butter. She spread the butter on the bread and wrapped the sandwich in a piece of plastic. That would be her lunch for the day. She remembered the school's cafeteria fees and how her mother was behind on some payments. Lisa knew that soon she might lose her discounted lunch benefits. This worried her, but she tried to push the thought aside. Before leaving for school, she took a moment to look at a small framed photograph on the living room shelf. It was a photo of her father, who had died in a traffic accident 2 years ago. Lisa carried a smaller version of that photo in her pocket every day. When she missed her father, she held the photo and remembered the way he smiled at her. He used to tell her that kindness mattered. She still believed this, even though she often wondered if anyone noticed how hard she tried to be good. Outside, it was cold. Lisa walked to school along the same route as always. She passed modest houses, some needing repairs. She kept her head down to avoid the cold wind. When she arrived at her public school, she noticed that the hallways looked the same as ever. The building smelled of cleaning products and old books. Most of the students wore warmer clothes, and some had nicer coats. Lisa tried not to feel jealous. In the classroom, Lisa sat near the window. The teacher started the day's lessons, and Lisa took notes. She did not want to miss anything. She knew education was important. Her mother had always told her that a good education could open doors. Lisa focused on her studies, even as she heard whispers from other students. They sometimes made quiet jokes about her old clothes. Lisa ignored them and tried to pay attention to the teacher's words. At lunchtime, Lisa found a spot in the hallway to eat. She did not have cafeteria credit that day, so she avoided the cafeteria itself. Her butter sandwich was simple and dry. She ate it slowly, making it last. While she ate, she noticed a man in a blue janitor's uniform walking by. He was new at the school. He looked older and tired. He pushed a cart with cleaning supplies and kept his eyes down. Students passed by him without a glance. He seemed invisible to everyone else. Lisa wondered who he was. After school, Lisa walked home, thinking about the janitor. She did not know why, but something about him caught her attention. He looked as if he carried a heavy burden. She knew that everyone had their own struggles. At home, her brothers were playing on the floor and Maria was not back yet. Lisa did her chores, folding clothes and sweeping the floor. When her mother returned late in the evening, Lisa greeted her with a smile. Maria looked tired, but tried to hide it. They ate a simple dinner of rice and beans. Lisa then helped her brothers settle down. She also did her homework at the small kitchen table. She had math problems to solve and a reading assignment. She completed them carefully. Before bed, she took out the small photo of her father from her pocket. She looked at it under the dim light of the lamp. She thought about his words on kindness. She had tried to be kind every day, but she was not sure if it mattered to anyone. As she went to sleep, she remembered the janitor's tired face. She thought about how little food she had herself, but maybe tomorrow she could share part of her sandwich with him. It was a small idea. She knew she had very little, yet helping someone else felt important. She closed her eyes, not knowing that this small decision would change everything. The next morning, Lisa woke up early again. Her mother had left for work and her brothers were still sleeping. The house felt as cold as before, and Lisa dressed in layers. She washed her face and fixed her braids, making sure the colorful beads looked neat. In the kitchen, she prepared another butter sandwich for lunch. It was all they could afford. She placed it in her old lunchbox and decided that today she would try to share it. Outside, the morning air was cold but slightly brighter. Lisa walked through the neighborhood, passing the same old cars and worn fences. She entered the school and headed straight to her classroom. The teacher gave a short quiz, and Lisa did her best. When the quiz ended, she turned to her best friend Carla, who sat nearby. Carla asked if things were okay at home. Lisa shrugged and said they were fine. Carla looked concerned but did not push. Lisa felt grateful for Carla's understanding. Many students teased her, but Carla never did. Still, Lisa did not want to talk about her family's troubles. She was used to keeping her problems private. During the mid-morning break, Lisa passed by the cafeteria to check the menu. She could not afford to buy anything. She saw the reminder posted on the wall about overdue payments. She felt uneasy, but there was nothing she could do at that moment. She returned to class and tried to focus on the lessons. The teacher explained new material, and Lisa wrote down her notes carefully. At lunchtime, Lisa found her usual spot in the hallway. She unwrapped her sandwich and took a small bite. The bread was dry, and the butter was thin. While she ate, she looked for the janitor. She saw him pushing a cleaning cart, just like before. He looked just as tired. He did not have food with him, at least not that she could see. Lisa wanted to offer him some of her sandwich right now, but she hesitated. She was shy and unsure how he would react. She wondered if he might be offended or think she was being strange. She decided to wait one more day. She told herself that tomorrow she would do it for sure. She had no reason to fear a simple act of kindness. After lunch, she returned to the classroom and worked on an assignment. The afternoon passed slowly. Lisa thought about the janitor several times. She imagined handing him half of her sandwich and saying a few kind words. She hoped he would understand that she only wanted to help. When school ended, she walked home, feeling the familiar chill. At home, Maria had arrived before her. She was folding laundry and rubbing her temples as if she had a headache. Lisa put down her school bag and helped her mother. She wanted to ask about the lunch fees, but decided not to. Maria looked stressed. Lisa did not want to add another worry to her mother's day. After chores, Lisa did her homework. Her brothers played quietly with old toys, and she kept an eye on them. When dinner came, they ate another simple meal. Maria reminded Lisa that she should keep working hard at school. Lisa agreed. She understood that education might help them escape their financial troubles someday. Before bed, Lisa checked the small photo of her father. She remembered how he said kindness mattered. Tomorrow, she would share her sandwich with the janitor. She knew her own meal was small, but it felt right to give. She had no idea how important this small action would become. She only wanted to do the right thing. That night, Lisa fell asleep thinking about the next day. She imagined the janitor's reaction and wondered what he would say. She had no idea that this tiny act would soon lead to opportunities and changes beyond her understanding. For now, she only wanted to be kind. The next morning, Lisa woke up with a plan in her mind. She dressed in her usual clothes, fixed her braids, and prepared another butter sandwich. She would share half of it with the janitor today. She had decided this the night before, and she did not want to change her mind now. She felt nervous about it, but also sure that it was the right thing to do. She walked to school and tried to pay attention to the teacher's lesson. Still, her thoughts kept drifting toward the janitor. Would he accept the sandwich? Would he feel insulted? She reminded herself that kindness was never wrong. She hoped that he would understand her intentions. When lunchtime finally arrived, Lisa left the classroom and walked into the hallway. She looked around and found the janitor again. He wore the same blue uniform and pushed the same cleaning cart. He looked just as tired as before. Today, he was sitting near a closed classroom door, resting for a moment. Lisa noticed that he did not have any lunch with him. Holding her small sandwich in her hand, she approached him quietly. She cleared her throat and spoke in a soft voice. "Excuse me, sir. I do not have much, but I would like to share my sandwich with you. It is very simple, but maybe it can help." She held out half of the sandwich, feeling her heart beat faster. The janitor looked up, surprised. He studied her face for a moment. He saw that she was sincere. He took the half sandwich carefully and thanked her. "Thank you," he said, speaking in a gentle tone. "You are very kind." He took a small bite and nodded, as if to show he appreciated it. Lisa felt relief wash over her. She smiled and stepped back, not wanting to disturb him further. As she turned to leave, a few other students who had been watching began to laugh. One older boy whispered something to his friend, and they both snickered. Another girl rolled her eyes and said, "Why bother? He's just the janitor." Lisa heard them but tried to ignore their words. She knew this would happen. Some people did not understand why someone would share what little they had. Lisa walked away, feeling both embarrassed and proud. She was embarrassed by the laughter of her classmates, who thought she was foolish. She was proud, because she knew she had done something good. The janitor had needed that sandwich more than she did. At least she had lunch every day, even if it was simple. After lunch, Lisa returned to the classroom. She tried to focus on the lessons, but her mind drifted again. She wondered if her small act of kindness would mean anything in the long run. She had given half her sandwich. She had very little for herself, and yet she shared it. Would anyone else have done the same? Did it matter? The teacher called on her to answer a question about the lesson. Lisa answered correctly, and the teacher nodded. Lisa tried to push her worries aside. She had done what she believed was right. Whether or not it mattered to the world, it mattered to her. She remembered her father's words about kindness. Even if no one else saw the value, she knew he would have been proud of her. When the school day ended, Lisa gathered her belongings and left the building. She passed the janitor in the hallway. He gave her a small nod, and she smiled again. Outside, the weather was still cold, and the sky was gray. She walked home as she always did. She hoped that tomorrow would be better. Maybe one day her classmates would understand. At home, she helped her brothers and talked to her mother about her day. She did not mention the sandwich or what happened at school. It felt personal, and she did not want to worry her mother. Maria already had enough stress at work and with the late rent. Before going to bed, Lisa held the small photo of her father once again. She did not know that tomorrow morning would bring an event that would change their lives. She did not know that the man she called Sir in the hallway was not who he appeared to be. For now she closed her eyes, thinking she had simply done a kind deed. The next morning began like any other, until Lisa heard a strange sound outside. She looked out the window and saw a long black limousine parked in front of their small house. The neighborhood seemed unusually quiet as people peeked out of their windows and doors. Lisa felt her heart race. Why would a limousine stop here? Lisa's mother, Maria, opened the front door. A well-dressed driver stepped onto the sidewalk, holding an envelope. He approached them politely and said he had a letter to deliver. Maria took the envelope, confused. Lisa stood beside her, also confused and a bit worried. Maria opened the envelope and began to read. As she did, her eyes widened and her lips parted in disbelief. Lisa waited, trying to understand what was happening. Finally, Maria looked at her daughter and said, "Lisa, remember that janitor at your school?" Lisa nodded. Of course she remembered him. She had just shared her sandwich with him yesterday. Well, according to this letter, he is not actually a janitor. His name is Howard Ellis, and he is a very wealthy man. He was pretending to be a janitor to see who would be kind to him without knowing his true status. Lisa felt her stomach flip. She did not understand why a rich man would do such a thing. The letter explained that Howard Ellis had grown up poor. He had once received help from a stranger when he had nothing. Now, as a successful businessman, he wanted to find someone with a pure heart, someone who would share kindness without expecting anything in return. The letter said that Lisa's act of sharing her simple sandwich had touched him deeply. He wanted to repay her kindness by offering her a full scholarship to a better school. He also wanted to offer Maria a new job with a decent salary. The letter even mentioned support with their housing situation. Maria looked unsure. She was happy to see her daughter recognized for her kindness, but she was also cautious. It seemed too good to be true. She wondered if they should trust a stranger who showed up out of nowhere offering gifts. Lisa felt the same uncertainty. Why them? They were just a struggling family. Lisa knew she had done nothing grand. She had only shared half a sandwich. The driver waited patiently, adding no pressure. He only said, "Mr. Ellis respects your time. He will wait for your decision. You are not obligated to accept." Then he stepped back into the limousine and left, leaving Lisa and her mother standing in front of their home. The neighbors had seen the limousine, and soon whispers began to spread. Lisa and her mother went inside and sat at the kitchen table. Maria read the letter again. The words were kind and respectful. Mr. Ellis wrote that he had no intention of embarrassing them. He only wanted to open doors that had been closed to Lisa because of their financial situation. He felt that Lisa deserved an opportunity, given her good heart. Lisa felt a strange mixture of emotions: surprise, disbelief, gratitude, and fear. She wondered what would happen if they accepted. Would the students at her school mock her even more? Would her friend Carla understand? Would people think she was taking charity because she was poor? Maria also had doubts. She was used to working hard and managing on her own. Accepting help from someone she did not know well felt risky, but the letter included references, official documents, and contact information. Everything seemed legitimate. Ellis was offering a chance for Lisa to attend a private school with better resources, and for Maria to have a more stable job. They talked quietly. Lisa admitted that she was both happy and scared. Maria understood. This was a big decision. She said they would not rush. They would think about it. Lisa nodded. She still remembered the mocking voices from the hallway at school. Now that everyone would find out the truth, how would they react? Outside, the neighborhood buzzed with rumors. A limousine in front of a modest house attracted attention. Some neighbors assumed Lisa's family had won the lottery. Others guessed that Maria had found a rich relative. Lisa did not care about rumors. She cared about what this meant for her life. For so long their family struggled, and no one had offered help. Now, a stranger disguised as a janitor wanted to change their lives. The day passed with questions and few answers. Maria said she would try to call the number on the letter for more information. Lisa wanted to know if Mr. Ellis really understood how this might affect her. She wondered if he knew that people might treat her differently now. She wondered if her old clothes and her background would become even more noticeable among wealthier students. They ate dinner quietly, and Lisa thought about her father. She wished he could see all this. She wondered what he would say. He had always told her that kindness mattered, and now this strange event seemed to prove it. As the night approached, Maria told Lisa they would give themselves a few days to think. Lisa agreed. She wanted to be sure. She lay in bed holding her father's photo, remembering his face. Her life had changed in a single day. Yesterday, she was just a girl who gave half of her sandwich to a tired janitor. Today, she learned that the janitor was a millionaire who wanted to help her and her mother. There was no answer yet. They were not sure what they would do. But the door was open. The possibilities were suddenly much larger than before. Lisa fell asleep thinking about the future, uncertain but also curious. She had taken a small step of kindness, and now the world was knocking on their door. The next day, Lisa walked to school with a heavy feeling in her chest. The news about the limousine and the letter had spread through the neighborhood. People talked, and rumors traveled quickly. By the time Lisa reached the school grounds, many students were already whispering about her. Some pointed, others just looked surprised, and a few pretended not to care. Inside the school, a group of older students waited near the lockers. One of them raised an eyebrow when Lisa passed by. "So, I heard you got a millionaire's help," he said in a mocking tone. "Must be nice to get special treatment." Another student smirked. "Did you beg him for money?" Lisa tried to ignore them, but their words stung. She knew this would happen. She had worried about it the night before. In the classroom, Carla was quiet. Lisa approached her friend and tried to start a conversation. Carla looked at Lisa and then lowered her eyes. "I don't know what to think," Carla said softly. "Everyone is talking about how you got this special deal. You didn't even tell me what was going on. I feel like I'm the last to know." Lisa tried to explain. "Carla, I'm sorry. I just found out yesterday. I'm still confused myself." But Carla shrugged. "It feels like you're leaving me behind," she said. Lisa had not thought of it that way. She wanted to include Carla, but she had been so overwhelmed that she did not know how to start. Later that morning, one of Lisa's teachers, Ms. Thompson, called her aside. Ms. Thompson said, "I heard about the scholarship offer. I think it's wonderful that someone recognized your kindness." Her tone was kind and supportive. Lisa felt relieved that at least one adult at the school understood. But some other teachers seemed skeptical, as if they assumed Lisa had done something to attract charity. She could see it in their eyes when she passed by in the hallways. They did not say anything, but their silence and careful glances made Lisa feel uneasy. During lunch, Lisa tried to find a quiet place to eat her simple sandwich. She noticed that people looked at her differently now. Some were jealous, others were confused. A few classmates approached her asking questions she did not have answers to. "Did that millionaire promise you a new house? Are you going to some fancy private school?" Lisa felt embarrassed. She was not used to this kind of attention. She had always been quiet and tried to remain unnoticed. When she got home that afternoon, Maria was there, sorting through some papers. She had tried calling the number on the letter, and the person who answered confirmed everything. It was all true. Howard Ellis was indeed a wealthy man who had helped others in the past. He wanted to give Lisa a full scholarship to a better school, and he offered Maria a new job at one of his companies. Maria told Lisa what she had learned, and Lisa nodded slowly. Still, they both hesitated. Accepting help meant changing their lives. Lisa asked, "Mom, what if people think I'm just taking a handout because we're poor?" Maria sighed. "People might think what they want, but what matters is what we decide. We must think about what is best for our family." Lisa understood, but she still felt unsure. As the afternoon turned into evening, Lisa felt a mix of emotions. On one hand, this opportunity could help her study in a better environment and improve their financial situation. On the other hand, it was scary and made her stand out in ways she did not want. She worried that Carla might never understand. She worried that the other students would think she was only special because someone rich picked her out of nowhere. Lisa also considered not accepting the offer. Life was hard, but at least it was familiar. Taking the scholarship and the job offer would change everything. She said to her mother, "Maybe we should just stay the same. Maybe I don't need a private school or special help." Maria looked at her and said, "Lisa, you deserve a chance. It's not about what people think. It's about your future. But I won't force you. We'll decide together." That night, Lisa could not sleep well. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. She thought about the look on Carla's face, the whispers at school, the silent judgments from teachers. She thought about her father and what he would say. He used to tell her that being kind was its own reward, that doing good was right even if no one noticed. But now someone had noticed, and it turned her world upside down. The house was quiet, and Lisa thought about how difficult life had been for her mother. Maria worked hard, got paid little, and always worried about rent and bills. If she accepted Ellis's offer, Maria might have a better job, maybe even health benefits and a more stable schedule. That would help the entire family. Lisa closed her eyes and tried to imagine a better future. She saw herself studying in a good school, having decent meals, and not worrying about overdue lunch fees. She saw her mother resting a bit more, not looking so tired all the time. She saw her brothers growing up with more opportunities. But she also saw the faces of people at her current school, accusing her of taking charity, mocking her for being lucky instead of worthy. It was painful to think about. In the morning, Lisa would have to face her classmates again. She would have to talk to Carla and try to explain. She would need to consider that maybe, deep down, she deserved this help. She was not a bad person for accepting a helping hand. The world was hard, and sometimes kindness should be rewarded. As Lisa drifted off to sleep, she still had no final answer. She knew that the decision would have to come soon. Until then, she tried to hold on to the idea that she was not taking advantage of anyone. She had shared half a sandwich out of pure concern, not expecting anything in return. Maybe she needed to trust that good deeds could lead to good outcomes. The morning brought no relief from the tension Lisa felt. At school, Carla approached her during the first break. Carla looked nervous and said, "I'm sorry about yesterday. I guess I'm just worried that you will leave me behind. I don't want to lose you as a friend." Lisa felt tears at the corners of her eyes. "Carla, I didn't ask for any of this. I'm scared too. I don't know what will happen, but you're my friend. I don't want to leave you behind either." Carla nodded slowly. "If this is something good for you and your family, I guess I should be happy for you. I just hope you won't forget about me." Lisa smiled, relieved. "I won't forget," she promised. With that, at least one source of stress became a bit lighter, but other classmates were not so understanding. In the hallway, two older students shook their heads when Lisa passed. "So now she's some kind of charity case?" one said softly, but loud enough for Lisa to hear. Lisa pretended she did not hear. She kept walking. In class, the teacher asked students to form groups. Lisa ended up with two classmates who avoided eye contact with her. She tried to participate and help with the task, but they spoke in low voices, acting as if her presence bothered them. Lisa felt a knot in her stomach. Would it be like this if she stayed here? During lunch, Lisa sat alone for a few minutes. She remembered the letter from Mr. Ellis. She had not met him in person since the big reveal. She had only seen him as a janitor. The letter said he understood if she needed time. Lisa knew she should try to learn more about him. Maybe talking to him could help her decide. But the idea of meeting a millionaire felt intimidating. After school, Lisa walked home and found Maria reading over the documents again. Maria said she had learned more about Howard Ellis's background. He had been poor as a child. He once received help from a stranger who paid for his education. That made him successful, and now he wanted to give back. Maria showed Lisa a newspaper article about Ellis's foundation that helped students in need. He was not just helping Lisa, he had a history of helping others. Lisa understood this better now. Ellis's actions were not random. He had a reason for wanting to help someone like her. This made Lisa feel less guilty. She was not taking something undeserved. Ellis was paying forward the kindness he had once received. Lisa felt a small weight lift from her shoulders. Maybe accepting his help would not make her a burden or a charity case. Maybe it would be continuing a cycle of good deeds. Still, Lisa could not ignore the problems at school. She did not want people to treat her differently. She talked to her mother about it. "Mom, if I switch schools, what will everyone here think?" Maria answered, What they think does not change who you are, Lisa. What matters is what is best for you. If this opportunity can give you a better education, you should consider it." Lisa nodded. She thought about her father's message about kindness. She realized that her small act had drawn Ellis's attention. He wanted to help her because he saw a good heart in her. Should she refuse that help because of what other people might think? Should she stay in a harder situation just to please those who might never understand her struggles? She also thought about her promise to Carla. If she accepted the scholarship, she would still keep in touch with Carla. They could still be friends. There was no rule that said she had to abandon her old life. Maybe she could bridge both worlds. She could accept help and remain connected to the people who mattered to her. Over the next few days, rumors continued, but Lisa tried to ignore them. Carla stood by her side. Ms. Thompson, the supportive teacher, gave her a kind smile when they passed in the hall. Lisa felt less alone. She began to think that maybe accepting Ellis's offer could help her, her family, and even others. With a better education, she might be able to help other students in the future. She could find ways to give back, just as Ellis was doing. Maria, seeing Lisa struggle, suggested they try to set up a meeting with Mr. Ellis. Maybe speaking to him face-to-face would help them decide. Lisa agreed. She wanted to look him in the eye and ask him why he chose her. She wanted to understand his motives clearly and be sure he did not see her as a project or a simple act of charity. They made a call to the contact number. The person on the other end was polite and arranged a meeting for the following week. Lisa felt nervous but determined. Before making a final decision, she would speak to the man who had changed her life so unexpectedly. That evening, Lisa told Carla about the meeting. Carla said, "That's a good idea. Ask him what he expects from you so you know the truth. Maybe then you'll feel better." Lisa nodded, grateful for Carla's support. Later, as Lisa got ready for bed, she thought about the next step. Meeting Ellis would be important. It would help her decide if she could accept this new path with a clear conscience. If she learned that he truly wanted to help without strings attached, maybe she could accept the scholarship and the job offer for her mother. If not, she could say no and remain in her current life, even if it meant struggling. For now, Lisa still felt uncertain, but at least she had a plan. She would meet Ellis, ask her questions, and make a choice. She closed her eyes and tried to imagine a better future without feeling guilty or judged. It was not easy, but she was doing her best to stay true to herself. A few days later, Lisa and Maria arrived at a small cafe near downtown Richmond. They were there to meet Howard Ellis. Lisa wore her cleanest clothes and tried to stay calm. Maria looked nervous but kept a steady expression. They entered the cafe and saw a man sitting at a table near the window. He looked well-dressed but not flashy. He stood up when he saw them and smiled. "Good morning," he said, holding out his hand. "I'm Howard Ellis. Thank you for meeting with me." His voice was calm and gentle. Lisa shook his hand, and Maria did the same. They sat down and Ellis asked if they would like something to drink. Lisa asked for water, and Maria did too. Ellis ordered a coffee for himself. The cafe was quiet, with only a few customers reading newspapers or working on laptops. Lisa wanted to get to the point. She took a breath and said, "Mr. Ellis, I'm still not sure why you want to help me. I don't understand why me, out of all the students." Ellis nodded and leaned forward slightly. "I understand your confusion. Let me explain. I grew up in a very poor family. When I was young, a stranger helped me pay for school. That kindness changed my life. I promised myself that if I ever had the chance, I would help someone else." He paused and looked at Lisa with kind eyes. "I visited your school to find someone who would show kindness without expecting anything in return. Most people ignored me or treated me like I was not important. You, Lisa, shared your sandwich with me. You had very little, yet you gave half of your meal to someone you thought was hungry. That's the kind of person I wanted to find. Lisa listened carefully. She remembered that day clearly. She felt a bit embarrassed that such a small action had caused such a big response. "I just thought you needed it more than I did," she said quietly. Ellis nodded. "And that's exactly why I want to help you. I believe people like you deserve opportunities. I can offer you a scholarship to a better school and help your mother with a better job. I'm not doing this because I expect anything back. I'm doing it because someone once helped me, and I want to continue that cycle of help." Maria asked, "Mr. Ellis, we are grateful, but what if Lisa feels uncomfortable with the attention this will bring? She already faces comments at her current school. We worry that people will think she only got this chance because of charity." Ellis thought for a moment. "I understand. Unfortunately, people always have opinions. But Lisa's worth is not defined by their words. She is a good student and a kind person. I'm simply removing some barriers that stand in her way." Lisa considered his words. She realized that Ellis was sincere. He had a clear reason for helping her, and he showed no signs of expecting repayment. It was not a trick or a test anymore. He had done his test already, her sharing the sandwich. Now he wanted to support her growth. Lisa took a deep breath. "If I accept your offer, I want to do more than just receive help. I want to help others too. I don't know how yet, but I'd like to find a way to give back, maybe help other students at my old school. Is that possible?" Ellis's face brightened. "Of course," he said. "I encourage that. Use your opportunity to benefit others. If you have an idea, I can support it." Maria watched her daughter, feeling proud. Lisa was not just thinking about herself. She was thinking about how to extend this kindness to others. Maria placed a hand on Lisa's shoulder and nodded. "If this feels right to you, Lisa, then I support you." Lisa looked at Ellis. "Then I accept your offer. I'm nervous, but I believe it's the right thing to do." Ellis smiled warmly. "You made the right choice for yourself and your family. We can handle the details of the scholarship and the job for your mother. I'll have my team reach out and guide you through the process. You won't be alone." They spent a few more minutes discussing practical details. Ellis explained that Lisa could start at the new school soon. Maria would receive an employment contract to review, ensuring better hours and benefits. They would also receive some assistance with their housing situation, making sure they would not risk losing their home. When they left the cafe, Lisa felt lighter. She had made a decision and understood the reasons behind Ellis's kindness. Maria looked relieved, too. Outside, the world felt a bit brighter. The air was still cold, but Lisa no longer felt its bite as strongly. She was thinking about the future and how she could make the most of this chance. Back at home, Lisa told her brothers in simple terms that things might get better soon. She also planned to tell Carla that she had decided to accept the help. That weekend, Lisa met Carla at the local park. She explained the meeting with Ellis and that she wanted to remain friends no matter what. Carla said she understood and that she was proud of Lisa. The next week, Lisa asked the school principal if she could speak to her classmates about the importance of kindness. The principal, curious about the recent events, agreed. Lisa stood in front of her classmates in a small assembly. Her knees trembled a bit, but she remembered what Ellis said about using her opportunity to inspire others. Standing there, Lisa told them the story without shame. She explained why she shared her sandwich. She admitted she was scared of people's opinions at first, but she learned that good deeds should not be measured by what others think. She said that kindness can change lives and that everyone could choose to help someone else. The room was quiet as she spoke. Even those who mocked her before remained silent now. When she finished, a few classmates clapped. A teacher nodded approvingly. In that moment, Lisa felt that she had taken control of her own narrative. She was not just a charity case. She was a person who made a choice to do good, and now good things had come back to her. A few days after her speech at the school assembly, Lisa prepared to visit her old school's cafeteria. She had an idea. Before she transferred to her new school, she wanted to start a small fundraising campaign to help the cafeteria at her current school. She knew many students were in a similar situation, struggling to afford lunch. Lisa spent an evening with Maria planning the details. Maria had a new job offer lined up, thanks to Ellis's arrangement, and she would soon start working regular hours with better pay. For now, Maria fully supported Lisa's idea. Lisa designed a simple flyer, asking students and teachers to donate small amounts of money or non-perishable food items to help improve the cafeteria's offerings. She thought that if she could leave something positive behind, it would feel right. Carla helped her pass out the flyers the next morning. Some students were uncertain. They asked, "Why should we help?" Lisa explained that many students could not afford decent lunches and that every little bit helped. A few students rolled their eyes, but some actually seemed interested. Over time, Lisa noticed that more students started to pay attention. Perhaps her speech had made them think. The principal agreed to place a donation box in the main office. Lisa encouraged everyone to contribute what they could. She talked to a few teachers who supported the idea. Ms. Thompson, the supportive teacher who had always been kind to Lisa, dropped in a small envelope with a note. "I believe in your cause. Good luck." Lisa smiled and thanked her. By the end of the week, the box had a variety of contributions: small amounts of money, cans of vegetables, packages of pasta, and even a few boxes of cereal. It was not a huge collection, but it was a start. The principal said that these donations would help stretch the cafeteria's budget and provide a few better meals for students who needed them. Lisa felt proud. She understood that this was only a small step, but it proved that her classmates could come together to help others if given the chance. Before she moved on to her new school, she wanted to show that kindness could multiply. Even if some people had mocked her before, now they had a chance to do something good. At home, Maria started finalizing her new job details. She would work as an administrative assistant in one of Ellis's companies. The pay would be higher than her nursing job, and the hours would be more stable. She still cared about health care, but she needed a break from the long, stressful shifts. With this new job, she could spend more time with Lisa and her brothers and maybe save some money each month. Lisa also received her enrollment information for the private school. She would start there soon. She felt nervous about joining a place where most students came from wealthier families, but she reminded herself that her worth was not defined by her background. She was a good student, and she would try her best. If she faced prejudice there, she would handle it as she had handled everything else, by staying true to herself and remembering that kindness mattered. She also planned to keep in touch with Carla. They exchanged phone numbers and promised to call or text each other. Lisa told Carla, "Even if I go to a new school, you're still my best friend. I won't forget that." Carla nodded and smiled. They both knew things would be different, but they valued their friendship. On her last day at her old school, Lisa felt a mix of sadness and hope. She said goodbye to Ms. Thompson, who wished her luck. She collected her books and personal items from her locker. A few students approached her awkwardly, saying, "Good luck at your new school," or, "I guess you showed us something important." Lisa smiled and thanked them. She realized that people were capable of change if given time and examples to follow. After school, she met with the principal and handed over a simple spreadsheet showing the donations collected. The principal thanked her and said he would use the resources wisely. He promised to continue the fundraising tradition she started, maybe making it a yearly event to help students who needed better lunches. Lisa felt a warm feeling inside. She had made a small difference. When Lisa walked home, she thought about how much her life had changed in such a short time. A few weeks ago, she was worried about losing cafeteria benefits and feeling invisible. Now she had a scholarship, her mother had a better job, and she had started a small program to help others. She had learned that kindness could open doors and that it was okay to accept help when it came from a genuine place. At dinner that night, Maria made a simple but satisfying meal. The atmosphere in the house felt lighter. They knew that things would not be perfect right away, but they had hope. Lisa's brothers asked if they could have some toys in the future, and Maria smiled, saying maybe now they could afford small treats once in a while. Lisa still held the photo of her father sometimes. She missed him, and she wished he could see all of this. But she felt his presence through the values he had taught her. She was not sure what he would say, but she knew he would be proud that she had remained true to the kindness he had always encouraged. In the following days, Lisa prepared for her transition to the new school. She also kept in touch with a few teachers who supported her cause. She was already thinking about how to help others once she settled into her new environment. Maybe she could start a similar fundraising project there, or connect both schools in some sort of exchange program. She did not know the details yet, but she trusted that opportunities would come. For now, she felt ready. She understood that her act of sharing a sandwich had led to many changes. She did not regret it. She knew that when someone chooses kindness, good things can happen, even if it takes time and causes confusion at first. She fell asleep that night, feeling calm and confident about her path forward. A few days later, Lisa started attending the new private school. On her first morning there, she stood in front of the large building with her new school uniform. She felt nervous. The school looked modern and clean, and many students arrived in nice cars or wore expensive accessories. She knew she did not have these things, but she reminded herself that she was there because she deserved the opportunity. Inside the school, Lisa tried to find her locker. The hallways were well lit, and everything looked organized. She noticed that some students gave her curious glances, as if trying to understand who she was. She did not see any familiar faces, which made her feel a bit lonely. Still, she remembered her mother's words. Her worth was not defined by what others thought. In her first class, the teacher introduced Lisa as a new student. Lisa said hello softly, and a few students nodded. Some ignored her. One student leaned over to another and whispered something, and they both smiled thinly. Lisa felt her stomach tighten. She wondered if they knew anything about her background. She decided not to worry. She would focus on her studies. During the lesson, Lisa concentrated hard and took detailed notes. When the teacher asked a question, she raised her hand and answered correctly. The teacher seemed pleased and moved on. After class, as students left the room, one girl said, "You know the answers. Good start." Lisa smiled and said thank you. Another student said nothing, just looked her up and down. Lisa ignored it and continued to her next class. At lunchtime, Lisa realized that the cafeteria here was different. The menu had many options, including fresh fruit and hot meals. She had a meal plan included with her scholarship, so she could choose something more nutritious than a butter sandwich. Still, she felt out of place. Most students sat with friends in groups, laughing and talking about topics Lisa did not understand. She sat alone at a table and ate quietly. After a few minutes, a boy came over and asked if he could sit with her. She nodded. He introduced himself as Marcus. He said he was curious about why she came to their school in the middle of the year. Lisa explained that she had been given a scholarship. Marcus did not ask personal questions. He just said, "Well, I hope you like it here." They chatted a little about the classes, and then he had to go. Lisa felt relieved to have at least one friendly interaction. Over the next few days, Lisa followed her new routine. She woke up early, studied, went to school, tried her best in class, and went home. She kept in touch with Carla by phone. Carla asked how things were going, and Lisa admitted it was harder than she expected. The students were not mean, but they were distant. They had grown up differently and did not understand Lisa's background. Still, Lisa tried to remain patient. She believed that over time, things would get better. Lisa also contacted her old principal. She asked how the donations for the cafeteria were being used. The principal said they were providing better meals on certain days and thanked her again. Lisa felt proud. Even though she was now in a new environment, her actions at the old school were making a difference. One afternoon, Lisa stayed after class to speak with a teacher about an assignment. The teacher, Mr. Anderson, asked how she was adjusting. Lisa admitted it was a bit lonely. Mr. Anderson said, "Change is always hard. Keep showing your abilities and kindness. People will come around." Lisa appreciated his advice. As weeks passed, Lisa proved herself academically. She got good grades on quizzes and tests, which caught the attention of her classmates. Some students started to ask her to study with them. Others treated her with more respect. Lisa realized that by working hard, she could earn their trust and maybe their friendship. However, not everyone was friendly. One student, Emily, often made little comments that bothered Lisa. Once, when Lisa answered a difficult question in class, Emily said, "Sure, she knows that. She probably studies all day since she has nothing else." Lisa felt hurt, but she did not respond. She knew that arguing would not help. Instead, she focused on proving that she belonged there. Outside of school, Lisa continued to help at home. Maria's new job was going well. She worked reasonable hours, and they could afford a few small improvements for the house. Lisa's brothers were doing fine at their own school. They all noticed that the atmosphere at home was calmer now that Maria had a stable income. Lisa also thought about what Ellis said, about using her opportunity to help others. She wondered if she could start something similar at her new school, perhaps a small volunteer group or a tutoring program for students who needed help. She decided to wait until she settled in more before suggesting such ideas. She wanted to understand the school's culture first. One day, Marcus invited Lisa to join a small study group. She went to the library and met 3 other students there. They reviewed material for an upcoming science test. Lisa shared her notes, and the others thanked her. After they finished studying, they talked a little about their interests. Lisa mentioned she used to read books from the local library because buying books was difficult. One student looked surprised and said, "I never really thought about that." Lisa realized that they were learning from her experiences as well. As the end of the school day approached, Lisa reflected on her journey. She had come from a school where she felt invisible and poor. Now she was in a place with more resources, but she faced new challenges. Still, she had made some progress. She made a friend, joined a study group, and was doing well academically. She understood that change took time. At home that evening, Lisa told Maria about her day. Maria said she was proud of how Lisa handled herself. Lisa said she still missed her old friends and school sometimes. Maria reminded her that she could keep in touch and that the people who cared about her would remain in her life. Before bed, Lisa held her father's photo and thought about how far she had come since that simple day when she shared her sandwich. She had learned many lessons. She understood now that kindness could open doors and that she could move through those doors confidently. She would continue to work hard, remain true to her values, and find ways to help others. She felt ready to face whatever came next. Over the following weeks, Lisa continued to adjust to her new school. She kept up her good grades and gradually became more comfortable talking to her classmates. She noticed that some students who were distant at first started asking her about homework or discussing class topics after realizing she was reliable and smart. Marcus occasionally invited her to join him and a few others at lunch. She accepted, grateful to have people to sit with. They talked about simple things, school projects, weekend plans, and funny stories from class. Lisa learned that these students were not bad people, they just had different lives. With time, they became more curious about her background, and Lisa explained it simply. She told them that not everyone had the same advantages, and that good opportunities were sometimes rare. Most of them listened quietly and seemed to understand. Lisa also kept her promise to herself about helping others. She asked Mr. Anderson if there were any volunteer opportunities at the school. He suggested she join a committee that organized a winter clothing drive. Students collected coats, hats, and gloves for families in need. Lisa liked this idea because she remembered how cold she felt walking to school without a proper coat before. She joined the committee and worked hard to encourage donations. While collecting items for the clothing drive, Lisa asked her new classmates to contribute if they could. Many of them did. Some donated high-quality items. Lisa realized that even if they had not understood her struggles at first, they could learn to help others once they saw a need. This made her feel hopeful. On the weekend, Lisa visited her old neighborhood. She passed by her old school and noticed a small poster on the door. It mentioned the ongoing effort to improve the cafeteria. Her actions had turned into a continuing project. That made her proud. She also stopped by Carla's house. Carla asked her how the new school was going. Lisa said things were getting better. Carla smiled, relieved. They talked about old times and how life had changed. Lisa promised to come by whenever she could. Back at her new home, Lisa and her mother talked about the future. With Maria's better job, they could save money. Maybe one day Lisa's brothers would also get scholarships. Lisa said she wanted to keep working hard to earn a college scholarship in the future. Maria agreed and encouraged her to aim high. There were no limits to what Lisa could achieve if she remained dedicated and kind. As the winter break approached, Lisa reflected on the past months. She had gone from a girl who shared a half sandwich with a stranger to a student at a well-resourced private school. She had faced doubts, whispers, and judgments, but she had also earned respect and made new friends. She had learned to speak up, to help others, and to accept help when it was given sincerely. She sent a message to Mr. Ellis, thanking him once more. She wrote that she appreciated what he had done for her family. She told him about the clothing drive, the cafeteria donations, and how she was doing well in her studies. Ellis replied, congratulating her and saying he was proud of her progress. He said that her actions reminded him why he continued to help others, and that he hoped she would always use her opportunities to make the world a bit better. Lisa held her father's photo and smiled. She had changed, but she had not lost herself. She was the same girl who believed in kindness, only now with more strength and experience. She understood that her worth was not about how rich or poor she was, but about the choices she made. She had chosen to be kind and to accept kindness. She had chosen to learn, grow, and give back. Before the final day of the term, the school announced that the clothing drive was a success. Many families would receive warm clothes. The principal praised the committee for their work. Lisa stood quietly at the back of the group, feeling happy. She remembered how scared she had been on her first day. Now she felt comfortable in these hallways. People knew her name, respected her effort, and understood her values. When winter break arrived, Lisa packed her books and materials, ready to enjoy a few days of rest. She planned to visit Carla again, help her mother at home, and maybe volunteer somewhere else. She knew that life would continue to have challenges. She would always be different from some of her classmates, but she no longer felt ashamed or insecure about that. Her differences were part of who she was, and they helped her see the world from a unique perspective. On the last afternoon before the break, Marcus found Lisa in the hallway. He said, "I'm glad you joined our school. You made us think about things we never considered before." Lisa thanked him. She realized that her presence here had done more than improve her own life. It had influenced others to be more understanding. She had shown that kindness mattered everywhere, not just at her old school. As Lisa walked out of the school building, she remembered how this journey began. It started with a simple choice: sharing half a sandwich with someone who seemed hungry. At the time, she had no idea who he was. She only knew that he looked tired and in need. That small act set many events into motion. Now her life was different in many ways. She understood that kindness was not only about big gestures. It could start with something as small as sharing food. That one moment had changed her path. She had received help, accepted it, and then used her opportunities to help others. She felt grateful, proud, and at peace. When she arrived home, her brothers ran to show her their drawings. Maria asked how her last day went. Lisa said it went well. The house was warm, their future was more stable, and Lisa felt confident in who she was becoming. Before going to bed, Lisa looked at her father's photo one last time that night and said softly, "It all began with a sandwich and a kind act. I will never forget that." She turned off the light, ready for whatever came next, secure in the knowledge that kindness had led her to a better place.